OK, it's now the turn for the audience. It's the barrage round. They fire questions at me. I've no idea what they're going to ask. Could get a question about banking, I think, but you never know. Let's see. Elizabeth, good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to Ramming.
Thank you.
We've got a couple of businesses in Ramsbottom. We've got an MMA gym. We also have an AI company as well. And yesterday we took the decision to close down our NatWest accounts.
Did you?
In solidarity. PayPal accounts when they closed down the free speech. We've also stopped using Just Giving because of the way they treated the Canadian lorry drivers.
Yeah.
Is this the start? Is this the start of the people's movement? Can lots of individuals doing little things actually have a big impact?
It needs a lot of individuals doing little things, but each one counts. It's rather like, if you ask James Daly, the more letters he gets or the more emails he gets from constituents on a subject, he starts to think, oh, well, actually, there's quite a few people out there think this way. Yeah, I mean, look, I in terms of the debanked, I'm going to launch this website next week and try and get them all together to become a powerful voice. So clearly, collectively, we can do more than we can individually. But individually, yeah, if lots and lots of us do it, we can make a difference. And clearly, Elizabeth, you've taken a very principled position on all of these things. I do hope you've got other bank accounts open.
Oh, yes, we've moved to this new one where you get the FSC protection on all of them for 85,000. You put it, or it's called Flagstone, you put it in one and you just drop it into all the other ones.
Right, well, there you are. Well, we better have a chat afterwards. But no, but no, listen, you've taken a very principled position. I admire you for what you do. Yes, it does make a difference, but it's going to need a lot more people like you and I making a stand. But I think it can be done. I actually think this tide can turn, and it blooming well needs to. Thank you. OK. Martin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Excuse me, I'll put my wife's glasses on.
That's all right.
Christian Wakeford, MP for Bury South, was elected as Tory MP. He then became a turncoat, I'm being kind saying turncoat, and moved over to Labour. Why didn't he do the right thing and resign his seat? He was elected as a Labour MP. He wasn't elected as a Labour MP, but continued to take his large MP wages and all the perks that come with it. Yeah. Why is it allowed? Why can't we say, no, we want a by-election?
I think if you asked James Daly for an answer to that, you get a very robust one indeed. I know he feels very strongly about it. Look, there are times when parties disintegrate. There are times in history when things change between the moment you get elected and the next election. A war may break out. There may be circumstances in which changing party is acceptable. But this clearly wasn't in any way at all. It was perfectly obvious why he'd won that seat. And again, very small majority, a bit bigger than James's, but not by very much.
Content for the constituents who voted him as a Conservative, really, isn't it?
I know. Look, I think it's a disgrace. I think there's a lot of our political system that needs to be amended, that needs to be changed. We do at least now have the right of recall. If an MP's done something wrong and been suspended for a period of time, we can, the people, sign a petition and get a by-election. That's a step in the right direction, but we're not there yet. You're obviously very angry, Martin, about this.
Yeah, I am, because he's not voted in as a Labour. Why should he continue to serve the people when he wasn't elected as a Labour MP?
Yeah, no, look,
he was paraded in Parliament by Keir Starmer, wasn't he? Just for PR.
I'm sure many people think that way. How many people in this room think that that Wakeford should have caused a by-election? Hands up. Yeah, pretty much everybody. Yeah, pretty much everybody. No, look, Martin, you're absolutely right. The fellow's behaved like a complete disgrace, and let's hope he never goes back into elected politics ever again. OK, next up is Andrew.
Hi, good evening, Nigel. It's wonderful to be with you tonight, and thank you for everything you've done for Brexit. I'm a huge supporter and admirer, as I know everybody else is in the room this evening. Thank you. So thank you. On to the question.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
If banks are so concerned with inclusion and diversity, do you think they might be better ensuring that all customers can access their services by considering not closing branches, so customers can access banks relatively near to where they live and who do not have access or want to use internet banking and apps, rather than snooping on their political views and deciding what is politically acceptable?
John, I think on the snooping on, or sort of Chinese-style surveillance that was put on my account, but could happen to any of you, because if they do, and they're talking about doing this, using keyword searches on people's social media, well, then we become communist China. I mean, then we head towards a social credit system where you can't play a full part in society unless you go along with the accepted wisdom of the day. More generally on the banks, I touched on it earlier, we bailed them out, our taxes went up as a result of it. The reward is to close branches and treat small businesses that take cash with absolute, complete and utter contempt, and to close down tens of thousands of accounts with no good reason whatsoever. I'm going to use this word. It's a scandal. We are living through a banking scandal, and it's been my honour to blow the lid off it and to start a national debate on it. John, the whole thing is dreadful, and I think we need cultural change within the banks, namely not to be political organisations, campaigning organisations, but I also think we need legislative change. There's a bunch of legislation in that is trying to stop the international drugs gangs from laundering money. All right? And we get that. We know why those laws are in place. But they're bad laws. They're badly thought through. I watched lots of them come through the European Parliament in my happy 21 years over there. Well, I had more fun than they did, I want to tell you that. And it's misapplied in Britain with an overzealous level of compliance, and so we need legislative change as well to bring some common sense back into the system. The banks have behaved terribly, and I'm going to make sure, Andrew, they don't forget it in a hurry.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you. OK. Next up, John. Good evening, John.
Nigel, pleasure to meet you, Nigel. It's been mooted about you taking some sort of a role in the Conservative Party.
Really?
Let's face it, they need you. Would you be interested in that? And what sort of role would you like in that?
The Conservative Party will never touch me. They'll never have me, even though I've done them a huge amount of good over the course of the last decade. Yeah, at times they were scared of me, but actually in the end, a lot of people who voted Conservative in 2019, a huge number, had voted UKIP or Brexit Party prior to that. And some of those were Labour people who've been, their families have been Labour since 1918. And I was the gateway drug, no laundering, but I was the gateway drug for many of those voters. But no, this Conservative Party, there are local MPs. I mean, James, to be fair to James, does actually stand up and say what he thinks on things, which is a good thing. But the Conservative Party are not a Conservative Party. They are a big state, high-tax, social democrat party. They wouldn't touch me with a barge pole. So, John, it ain't going to happen this side of a general election. And I think our choice at the next election is between, what type of social democracy do you want? The differences between the two, I don't see as being particularly fundamental. I think the Brits are being shortchanged by it. Brexit gave us the right to govern ourselves, but it also gave us the right to misgovern ourselves. And right at the moment, the latter appears to be winning, but we will sort it out in good time. Thank you. And Steve. Steve.
Hi, Nigel. Thanks for making the effort to come all the way to Bury. You've obviously got a lot on at the moment. Really appreciate that, as all the gang do.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say you beat cancer.
Yeah.
You survived being knocked over by a car.
Mm.
You survived a plane crash.
I need to drink somebody. I can't cope with all this.
You survived a plane crash. You took on the European Union and won. You took on the UK Parliament and won. Against all the odds, you won the Trick Award.
Yeah, I know.
Now you're taking on the banks.
Yeah.
And you're going to beat them?
Yes.
You're going to make change?
Yes.
For everybody?
Yes. No, I really believe we can.
Yeah. We all do, without a doubt. You are the people's champion. Yeah. Surely now it's time for Sir Nigel Farage.
Well,
what do you think, Nigel? What do you think?
Do you know what, Steve? I don't need baubles. I don't need bangles. I don't need honours. I don't need decorations. Do you know what I get? Every day, when I go about my life, you know, I go to the petrol station or maybe pop in a pub occasionally or whatever it may be, and I get people like you coming up to me and saying, thanks for what you've done, we believe in you, and you know what? That matters a lot more to me than any honour, title, decoration or sitting in the House of Lords.
Thanks for what you've done.
OK, that's the end of that section.